Metabolic Disease Lesson 1.1, What Does Food Mean? The goal of this lesson is to engage students to start thinking about their diet. At the end of this lesson, students should be able to explain some of the larger implications of the mass production of food. We'll achieve these goals by watching a clip from a popular film about how our diets affect our well-being, and by having a brief discussion about what types of foods students believe are good or bad for us. Why do they have those beliefs? To prepare for this lesson, you'll need to review the key scientific concepts that will be presented throughout the lesson. They include how food production dictates what is in our food, and how our diets can change our health for better or worse. You can review the scientific content in the background reading provided for you in the teacher primer, the teacher manual, and the student workbook. The teacher primer provides in-depth knowledge about the scientific content presented in this lesson. The teacher manual or lesson plan provides minute-by-minute explanation of the lesson structure, including instructions on how to manage the discussion and activity. The student workbook provides additional explanation for students. You'll need to be sure to print a student activity worksheet and a student homework worksheet for each student. The key point of this lesson's do now is to get students to start thinking about food. We'll get there by having students answer questions together as a class. You'll ask your students to think of the characteristics of food, like smell, taste, calories, and nutrients. This is a good time to remind students that we have both a physical and psychological tie to food. Food not only gives us energy, but also provides an important part in our emotional well-being. Our perceptions of food can influence our attitudes about certain foods. Ask your students about the perception of food from McDonald's, but don't expect them to agree on a common answer. Their answers to this will be discussed after the video. The key points of this lesson's activity are to ask students to start to critically evaluate everything they hear, read, or see about food, particularly about what foods are good or bad for them, and to have students pay attention to the foods that they eat and how those foods were produced. We get there by having students watch a video clip. Students will watch a short clip from the movie Super Size Me. Note, if your students have already seen Super Size Me, or if you want another option, there is an alternative video, lesson plan, and activity worksheet in the Alternative Approaches folder on the website. You'll want to check the video embedded in the PowerPoint presentation before class to ensure that it plays. If the video does not play, a link to the video on YouTube is in the digital version of the teacher manual. Students will take notes during the video using the Lesson 1.1 activity worksheet. The key point of the lesson's discussion is to have your students critically think about their perceptions of fast food. We get there by having a short Socratic discussion. Students should use evidence from the movie clip that do not support their original positions. Examples of these points are found in the teacher's manual. The key points of this lesson's wrap-up are to expose students to food additives, which is the focus of Lesson 1.2, and that fast food and processed food may contain ingredients that are unknown to most of us. We get there by completing a worksheet. Students look at an ingredients list from Chicken McNuggets and evaluate a statement from McDonald's about their food that appeared in the film. It's not important that students know the food additives in the ingredients label. The idea is to show them how much of other stuff is in the food. At the end of the wrap-up, you'll ask your students what they consider food. Is something made with a lot of additives food? The key point of the lesson's homework is to have students summarize the day's lesson. We'll get there by completing a worksheet. Students will list, then describe how much these elements of food contribute to whether that food is healthy or not. At this point, students may not know the correct answers. The point is just to get their brains working. Students can also review today's lessons in the Lesson 1.1 student workbook, which is available for free on our website. This is a straightforward lesson and is intended to engage your students. At the end of the lesson, students may debate whether all food processing and all fast food is unhealthy. Food processing has allowed us to live lives away from farms and kitchens. Imagine if you had to cook everything from scratch without any pre-made breads, pastas, or no canned or frozen foods. Obviously, some aspects of food processing are necessary. Likewise, fast food is not deadly if consumed rarely. The question is, where do we draw the line? And this is a good question, but there is no easy answer. At the end of this lesson, students should be able to explain some of the larger implications of the mass production of food. The idea of food production covered in this lesson will be utilized again in lessons 1.2 and 1.3, where we begin to talk about additives and contaminants in food. Students can read more about this topic in their student workbooks. Don't forget, if you have any questions, concerns, or feedback, to let us know. You can contact any of the CTSE team members and we'll be happy to help you.